Hello, very warm welcome to Granada Reports. We're live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello there. On the programme this evening.
Living proof of the importance of organ donation. A decade since her transplant, how Natalie is living life to the full.
I've probably lived more in the last 10 years than probably some people live in a lifetime, just because I know how precious life is.
The biggest storm for several years is due to hit the northwest tomorrow, bringing severe disruption. Everything we know about Storm Eunice is coming up.
I wish it didn't come to this, putting up the first one in honour of my son, but it has.
In memory of Ramiro, how Manchester's first bleed cabinet could save lives.
The war of words before the war of the roses. Amir Khan and Kell Brook go head to head.
And if you like the peace stumps, then you're going to love this latest light spectacular. I'll be live at Liverpool Cathedral a bit later in the programme with more.
So please stay with us. First, we like to start with uplifting news, and tonight it's the transplant that's given a young mum the best 10 years of her life.
We first met Natalie Kerr years ago when she was diagnosed with an incredibly rare condition that affected her heart and lungs.
Some of you will remember how we followed her journey through pioneering stem cell treatment in America, and then she was put on the waiting list for a double lung transplant.
She even allowed our cameras into the hospital for that surgery.
Well, since then, she's seen her children grow up, start secondary school, and all that time she's been working tirelessly to raise awareness of organ donation.
Our correspondent Mel Barham filmed that transplant all those years ago, and she has been back to see how Natalie's doing.
Weeks ago, Natalie was living in the shadow. When you have to use that stairlift.
Yeah.
Looking back to a time when Natalie's life hung in the balance, she was suffering from a rare condition affecting her heart and lungs. Every breath was a struggle.
Every day was torture. All I wanted to do was sleep.
We'd been following Natalie's story for the previous few years here on Granada. She'd raised thousands of pounds for pioneering treatment in America, which hadn't cured her. Her last hope was a double lung transplant. All she could do was wait.
I was so poorly, like that day I was just looking at my phone and wishing it to ring, just said please ring, please ring, please ring. I was so desperate. I knew I only had days left.
I was there that night as Natalie was brought in to Wythenshawe Hospital. They'd found her a match.
They'll come and assist us going to theatre, and I'll be with you, so don't worry.
And I remember it like it was yesterday, how desperate that I was. So when I got the call, I was really excited to hopefully get better. And I'm so grateful to the lady who saved my life that night, and I can't imagine what her family went through at the most horrific time in their life to make that decision to donate her organs. And little did they know there was little me hanging on, and what they've done is absolutely amazing.
Thanks to that special gift, Natalie has been able to see her children grow up. And to celebrate, she's holding a charity dinner this weekend. One person who'll be there is the doctor who first diagnosed her.
Her heart is absolutely huge. It
was lucky Dr. Kevin was on duty that weekend. Previous specialists hadn't picked up her condition, and as she went into labour with her daughter, she was in trouble.
She was desperately ill. She just wasn't able to pump blood through her lungs. And she had a condition called Idiopathic Pulmonary Hypertension. It just so happened that during my junior years, I'd worked at Papworth Hospital. So I'd worked with this condition for years, so knew within seconds what was wrong with her.
Without that diagnosis, Natalie and her daughter would have died that day.
Quite rare for a physician to be able to say I saved a life, so she's always been immensely special to me. So I've shown off for years by presenting her case to junior doctors and to medical students to see if they could have worked out what was wrong with her. Hi, how are you doing? How are the tickets?
In his spare time, Kevin swaps medicine for comedy. He'll be performing a stand-up routine at the Do this weekend, a do that Natalie hopes will help raise awareness of organ donation, a cause she's been championing for the last decade.
By raising awareness of organ donation and by giving people some inspiration and some hope, I feel like it wasn't for nothing when I was poorly, because at the time I thought, why why me? Why am I suffering so bad? I've never wanted anything overly exciting to happen. I just wanted to be a mum. But now I get it. I was meant to do what I do. I raise awareness and hopefully I inspire people.
It gets us to appreciate more, you know, to have our mum around and, you know, and really cherish life like how she does.
Natalie always pledged to live her life to the full. With her new lungs, she's done just that.
To be here and be this well, it's just amazing. I'm so happy. And I've probably lived more in the last 10 years than probably some people live in a lifetime, just because I know how precious life is.
10 years on from her transplant, Natalie is fit and well. She's already looking forward to the next milestone of 20 years. Mel Barham, ITV News, Chorley.
Yes, so wonderful to see her there. Well, Karen Sutcliffe is a transplant nurse who's based in Preston. She helps the families at the other end of this whole process come to terms with donating organs.
Yeah, she told us how special it was to see Natalie doing so well.
It's incredible. It really, really is. I mean, our job, this is what it's all about. It's about going out there and saving people's lives. And for somebody like Natalie to have gone on and had 10 years and hopefully plenty more, and those memories that she's made with the children, it's incredible. It's the reason why we do our job.
Of course, but you have the really delicate and challenging job of dealing with the donors' families. How tough can that be?
It's very tough. We're meeting these families in the darkest of their days. They're saying, you know, it's their loved one's final last minutes at the end of life care. It's really, really tragic. It really is, and it's something that some people do want to do. They do go on the organ donor register. They do want to help people. So if we weren't going in there and having that conversation with the families, then we're not honouring people's wishes.
And Karen, do the families of the donor ever get to find out the results and about the person who's benefited?
They do. It is asked if they would like to find out, and the majority of them do. And usually around 2 weeks after donation, they will receive a letter. And it only gives them very brief details, such as the age of the donor, the gender, how long they've been on the waiting list. But yes, it is, and it is something if both the donors and the recipients want to explore further in months to come. We have got our administration team can actually help, facilitate the communication between them both.
Now, in Natalie's case, it was a double lung transplant, but you can use a lot more of us than that, can't you?
Yes, absolutely. We know that for every one donor, potentially they can save the lives of 9 people, which is incredible. Saved. It is, it really is. So
what do you need? What organs do you need then?
Oh, heart, lungs, kidneys, pancreas, kidneys. We can do bowel transplants these days, and there's even more with new technology these days. We're even exploring limb donation and have had successful limb transplants.
So is there anyone in particular that you're targeting this at?
Everybody. You know, we have over 6,000 people waiting on the waiting list for transplants, and 600 of those are from the Northwest. In particular, though, a large percentage of these patients are from black and ethnic minority groups, and unfortunately, there isn't as many donors from those communities that can help these people. So, all ethnicities, all ages. We're just appealing for everybody to have that discussion and have that conversation with the families.
Well, let's hope this conversation opens up that conversation in people's homes tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, thank you.
Yeah, it's a conversation we all need to have, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, such an important message.
Indeed.
Great to see Natalie.
Now then, as the region dusts itself down following a night of storms that left thousands of homes without power, there is a warning this evening that the worst is still to come.
Yeah, with winds of more than 80 miles an hour, Storm Dudley struck the northwest, leaving a trail of destruction.
But today has been very much the calm between two storms, as in a few hours' time, Storm Eunice is expected to arrive in the region. Rob Smith reports.
A helicopter turned roller coaster for police trying to keep our streets safe in Storm Dudley. Streets where walls and trees had been downed, like here in Salford. Streets road safety teams would rather we avoid for the next storm, Eunice.
Ideally, we don't want people out there travelling. If you don't need to make the journey, then stay at home. The Transpennine route, so we're looking at the A66 in Cumbria and the M62. They're going to be a significant concern for the snow. But for the strong winds, we're looking at our high structures, so places like Thelwell Viaduct near Warrington.
Engineers from Network Rail spent the day repairing broken overhead power lines in Cheshire. They fear more trees, more debris will hit tracks in place after place overnight. With trains forced to run at slower speeds and cancellations almost inevitable, the advice is don't travel.
We've had a starter, I guess, with Storm Dudley, and Storm Eunice is going to be even more ferocious, so we've been preparing for this all week. But what we are asking passengers to do is, if they were planning to travel tomorrow, to replan their journey, because we're going to need to be putting blanket speed restrictions in across most of the country's rail network.
One of the Northwest's top tourist attractions is closing its doors in anticipation of the storm. Chester Zoo will miss a day of the half-term holidays for safety's sake. A priority as the elements are expected to hit much harder than in the last 24 hours. Rob Smith, ITV News.
Well, we can cross live to Joe at the weather desk now. Joe, what should we expect through tonight and tomorrow?
Thanks, Mike. The next 24 hours are going to be really disruptive for our region, that's for sure. We can expect gale force winds, severe disruption widely across the region. Factor in some snow, particularly up on higher ground, and plenty of rain in the mix. It's going to be more severe than Storm Dudley yesterday. Certainly it's a deep low pressure system as Eunice that's moving in. Comparable, perhaps, to the Burnsday storm of 1990, if you can remember that far back, a very severe storm. And it's certainly in the same league as Storm Dennis from 2020, where we saw widespread disruption across the region. And certainly tomorrow it's going to be really nasty. Combine high tides with that heavy rain and gale force winds, and there'll be some huge waves along the coastline. So avoid the coast if you can. Don't travel unless you absolutely have to. Avoid wooded areas. There will be plenty of trees down across the region tomorrow, and perhaps some power lines being affected as well. Some really nasty weather to come. A few more details will be coming up later on in my forecast.
Yeah, very good advice. Thanks for that, Joe. And of course, we will have full coverage of those storms tomorrow right across our bulletins and on our website. And if you're able to take any pictures safely, we underline that, send us footage of what's happening near you. Please get in touch with us.
Yes, you can tweet us, contact us on Facebook, or email us at granada.reports@itv.com.
Now, next tonight, if you were the first on the scene of a stabbing, would you know what to do to try to save someone's life?
Well, now there is some help on hand in Manchester, and it's thanks to an initiative from the family of Romero West, the 16-year-old boy who died after he was stabbed 6 months ago.
Yeah, it's the city's first bleed safety cabinet. It's been installed in his memory. It contains instructions on how to stop the bleeding to try to save a life.
It was funded by Romero's family, and they hope it'll be the first of many, as Tim Scott now reports.
You'll phone 999 and they'll give you a unique code to access. So once you've been given the code, you'll gain instant access to the cabinet.
Deanne Brown demonstrates the first bleed safety cabinet to be installed in Manchester. The cabinet contains wound dressings that anyone can use to help people who are bleeding. For Deanne, it's personal. Her cousin Romero West, known as Mero, was stabbed and killed last September in Old Trafford. He was just 16 years old.
So the bleed safety cabinet is just to help intervene and hopefully save a life just before the emergency response team do arrive on the site. So the aim of it is just to help pack or wrap a wound, just so we can hopefully save that life.
Is there a sense, I guess, that if one of these boxes had been there when Mero was hurt, it could have saved him?
There was 2 women that was with Mero, and they did do everything they could to help him. Should this have been available, hopefully Mero would have still been here today.
The bleed safety cabinets cost £600 each, and Deanne's employers are paying for more to be installed around the city. Romero's mum, Kelly, is on board too.
I'm honoured. I wish it didn't come to this, putting up the first one in honour of my son, but it has. But our aim is now to get these in every area of Manchester.
Can you give us a sense of how the family are bearing up at the moment?
We just got to take one day at a time, and we're all turning our pain into fight just to make a big change. within Manchester.
The family are now fundraising for more cabinets to be installed around Manchester in Romero's honour, in the hope that no one else will have to go through what they have. 4 people have been charged with his murder. Tim Scott, ITV News, Manchester.
Next tonight, it is one of our region's most outstanding buildings, and now we all have the chance to see Liverpool Cathedral in a very different light.
Yeah, as darkness falls tomorrow night, a new art installation is promising to bring new life to the cathedral's striking Gothic architecture.
It's been put together by the people behind last year's Peace Doves installation, which attracted thousands of visitors.
Yeah, including me. I love the doves. Well, Victoria Grimes is there for us tonight to find out what we can expect. So how's it looking?
Oh, Lucy, if you love the doves, then you are absolutely going to love this one too. It is stunning. I've been here for about an hour. The atmosphere is just incredible with the music and the lights, and all in such a stunning location here at Liverpool Cathedral. Now, obviously, this is the biggest cathedral in the UK, one of the biggest in the world, in fact. And did you know, fun fact here, that if you lay the Eiffel Tower and the Statue of Liberty end to end, they still wouldn't be as big as this cathedral. And that amazing space is one of the reasons why Peter Walker here, who is the genius behind all of this, chose to do it at the cathedral. Peter, it is just extraordinary what you've done here. It really is.
Thank you. Well, why wouldn't we want to present something like this in this most beautiful space? We did Peace Doves here before, as you said, and now we're presenting this journey to the edge of the universe and back, called Space, the Universe and Everything, created by my Lux Moralis composer friend David Harper.
So it's the music and then all the lights together as well. Just how do you put that together? How do you do it?
Well, there's a little bit of magic in the background. I won't spoil how we do it technically, but the idea is that people come in and they're just immersed in this journey to the edge of the universe and back, all in one night, which is something special, really, especially within this space.
And there was a huge response to Peace Doves, wasn't there, when you did that a couple of years ago? People absolutely loved it. Are you hoping to have the same sort of reaction to this one as well?
Well, this is a ticketed event, but we've already sold thousands of tickets. There's still a few available for next week, but I just think the people of Liverpool are going to come here, they're going to embrace it in this cathedral, and they're going to have a fantastic time, as I say, taking this journey as families and coming here and having a great night.
They certainly will. I mean, and you've got thousands of tickets sold already, so it's obviously something that people are very much ready for. And I think after the pandemic as well, because you've had to delay a couple of times, haven't you, that everyone's really ready for something special like this.
Well, this is uplifting, and that's really part of what we aim to do here, is for people to come have a really uplifting experience, get away from all of those dark things that we hear in the other side of the news, and come and see something special and light and uplifting, and just have a great time here at the cathedral.
Well, it's certainly that. And what's the best way to experience it? Because you've got a very special way of observing this, haven't you?
Well, there's no better place to lie on the floor and look up at the heavens, so I recommend people come and do that.
So lie down and look up at the heavens. Well, that's exactly what we're going to do now, and we're going to leave you, because the best way to experience this is just to see it in action. Come on then, Peter.
Wonderful moment of calm in a crazy world.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Beautiful.
Let's get to sport now. That won't be calm. There's been some big talk ahead of the big fight between Amir Khan and Kell Brook, David.
Yes, the verbal sparring has been flowing between these two boxers ahead of their big fight. Bolton's Amir Khan has accused Kell Brook of being obsessed with him after years of talking. Finally, this weekend, the two men will meet in the boxing ring in front of a sellout crowd at the Manchester Arena. Well, ahead of their big grudge match, today they came face to face. Chris Hall was there to see it.
It's a fight that's been in the making for 20 years, ever since Kell Brook and Amir Khan sparred as schoolboys. They disagreed over who came out on top that day. They've been able to agree on very little else ever since, except to go face-to-face in the ring in Manchester in a grudge match of the year. And if today's press conference is anything to go by, there will be fireworks.
Amir King Khan!
This is my time now to put him in his place. I'm worried about Kell's health after the beating I'm going to be giving him come this fight night. I mean, look, I think the beating he's going to get is something that he's never had before.
Kell Special K. Brook!
You know, I don't like him, you don't like me. It goes back from the amateur days. We went to England team, we shared the same room. He said in many interviews, like, oh, he's Kell Brook, he said that he didn't even know who I was. You know, there's things like this, and, you know, he's never given me that respect.
So often in boxing, the war of words is little more than a tickle fight to sell tickets. But these two have been sniping at each other for a decade, and to both camps, the grudge feels real enough.
We've got Brian, who's training him here, former boxer, very good. He had a good knockout ratio, 63%. Unfortunately, it was him getting knocked out.
You want to attack me?
Calm down. I couldn't attack you.
Them tactics ain't gonna work, partner.
I couldn't attack you.
It ain't gonna work.
I attack you?
Them two gotta fight, not me and you.
Exactly.
I think Kell's always been very obsessed with my career. You know, he's been like a fanboy, which is the honest truth. And, you know, I've been living in his head for such a long time that I think it's going to come a stage where he's going to say, I mean, he needs to stop paying me some rent.
You can say what you're saying today, but listen, after Saturday, no one's going to be interested. You can go to Dubai and just carry on doing what you're doing.
That's your prediction.
That's the end of it. He's going to get beat. He's going to get beat.
You're going to get knocked out.
We're going to get a knockout, and he's going on it. He's going on his face or his back.
He's going to be put in his place, yeah, definitely. Going to shut him up for good. Somebody he's going to remember for a very, very long time.
At a sold-out Manchester arena, there will be no world titles on the line, just pride, and a chance to make their rival eat the words they spat out today. Chris Hall, ITV News, Manchester.
Well, Manchester City's Lauren Hemp says England's journey to this summer's home Euros starts now. She's part of the squad taking on 3 of the world's best teams in the Arnold Clark Cup. The forward scored 4 goals as the Lionesses thrashed Latvia 20-0 in their last outing. But she knows they'll face tougher tests against Germany, Spain and Canada.
We need to test ourselves against the best. If we want to come the summer and win the Euros, then we need to be beating teams like this. So the journey's long and it's an exciting one ahead, and it starts now, and we're really looking forward to the next few games and the next few months ahead to make sure that we're the best team come the summer.
And you can see England's opener against Canada live on ITV4 tonight. Coverage starts at 6:45, so just in time after we finished.
Brilliant. Love that fighting talk. It's like the newsroom here. Now then, it's hard to believe it is 20 years since Kim Marsh burst into the world of showbiz and the band Hearsay. Do you remember that?
I do remember Hearsay. Pure and Simple was their big hit, if I'm right.
Yeah, that's like us. Pure and simple.
Don't go there, Lucy. Which is which? I think we all know which is which. Anyway, she is now a multi-talented performer, a singer, actress and presenter who's just landed a brand new part in the drama Waterloo Road, which is filmed right here in the Northwest.
Yeah, and she's lovely as well. And before she heads off to begin filming, she's appearing in Fatal Attraction at Manchester's Opera House next week.
She's been talking to our entertainment correspondent, Caroline Whitmore.
You're actually in Nottingham, in a hotel room, you're on tour with Fatal Attraction, and yet we can still speak. I can still annoy you.
We were in lovely Bath last week, and now Nottingham, so getting to see a bit of the country.
You're coming to Manchester next week, which we know is your home. Is it nice for you being on tour and seeing all these different places?
It is. I mean, it's not great living out the suitcase, obviously, and packing up your life every Sunday. I've never played at the Opera House before. That'll be the first time, but I've never really done a proper play, which is exactly what Fatal Attraction is. It's proper.
Matter of fact, you look great.
It was a proper movie phenomenon like 35 years ago. But you're playing Alex, who obviously was portrayed by Glenn Close. We all know what happened to the poor rabbit.
I very much wanted to make it my own. The play is different at times. I told my kids I was doing this, and of course they don't know what it is. They've never seen it. Well, you've heard of the term bunny boiler, right? And he's like, yeah. I said, well, this is where it comes from.
It's a bit of a provocative thriller.
This is the first time I've ever had to do anything particularly raunchy. And I mean, why not go the whole hog and do it live in front of an audience? 45, getting my kit off on stage, and it is a bit nerve-wracking. But do you know what? I'm so lucky to be playing opposite Oliver Farnworth because he's an absolute gentleman. We also had like intimacy directors coming in. And so what we do on stage almost feels like we're doing a bit of a dance.
Obviously, Oliver was in Coronation Street as Andy. We saw you as Michelle Connor for 13 years. Is there no way you're going to return?
Well, certainly not in the foreseeable.
Are you really sure about this, Steve?
I'm doing this, and then just got my new job on Waterloo Road, which is very exciting. I play Nikki Walters. She is a mum to Preston and Tonya, and both her children are at Waterloo Road.
Wait till you hear what she has to say.
And you're also going to be back in Salford for Morning Live, aren't you, alongside Gethin Jones?
I am, yeah. So every Monday morning I'll be doing my bit on Morning Live.
Anyway.
Forever grateful for my family, really, for being there and supporting me. And they'll all be there en masse next week at the theatre. David's got a few misgivings about seeing me on stage in sexy roles. All you need to do, as soon as you see me start kissing him, just close your eyes and don't open it again until you hear someone on the phone. It's like, okay, Mum.
Okay, Mum.
Yeah, okay, Mum.
OK, time for the weather now, and I think we all know what's coming. Here's Joe with all the details.
Oh, I love a hot shower and a cold day, me.
And a minute shorter than usual.
What a legend.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thank you. A very good evening to you. The next 24 hours for the northwest of England and the Isle of Man will be particularly stormy. A deep low pressure system named Eunice will be bringing heavy rain, gale force winds and some snow to the region from the early hours of tomorrow morning. It's been advised that you don't travel unless you have to, and there will be some disruptions, certainly with trees coming down and perhaps power lines affected as we go through the day tomorrow. A combination of cold air and that deep low pressure system does mean we could see some blizzards up on higher ground for the Pennines, particularly during the day tomorrow. At lower levels probably falling as rain, but it's the wind that's the real feature. Gale force gusts, especially for Irish sea coast during the day tomorrow and up on higher ground. It's going to be very windy until around 8 or 9 o'clock tomorrow evening. In the meantime, this evening, it's relatively quiet. Winds will drop out for a time, and then after midnight, rain begins to push in, and that's the storm. Some strong winds developing through the early hours of tomorrow, putting down some snow at lower levels, but increasingly only up on higher ground as we get towards dawn. Parts of Cumbria and North Lancashire will see snowfall through the early hours of tomorrow morning. For the rest of us, icy conditions, spells of rain, and those winds increasing in strength as we get towards dawn again. The sun will be up at 7:25. It sets at 5:26 tomorrow, and winds will peak for our part of the world from around 10 until 4 o'clock tomorrow. From Preston southwards, we have an amber warning in place for wind. Elsewhere, it's a yellow warning. We'll see gale force gusts quite widely across the board and further snow showers on higher ground during tomorrow afternoon. Stay home if you can and keep safe. Bye-bye.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Oh, hello.
Get him a towel.
Thanks, Joe. Just time to tell you why one of our primary schools is going bananas over a surprise visitor from 5,000 miles away.
Yes, children at Heswall Primary were shocked to discover that in their crate of bananas from the Ivory Coast was a rather confused little frog who had made quite a journey.
Yeah, it's now safely with the RSPCA and spawned the inspired headline from the Heswall Nub website. Sprogs save frogs.
Great headline, great story. He will feel quite at home with all the rain that is on the way.
Yeah, stay safe in all the crazy weather ahead. That's it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.